What is going on, guys? It's your boy Vengeance here, and I'm going to be explaining how I one-tricked Juno to champion across about 300 hours of playing her. So, an incredibly long period of time, and I pretty much locked myself in a room for literally 10 hours a day. I'm not even joking, I'm not gonna lie. Like, this was over Christmas last year, and I literally just played Juno. I watched VOD reviews on Juno, I got a VOD review from Spylo. I literally religiously just thought about Juno. So I want to give you all of my ball knowledge that took me from being pretty much hard stuck diamond to actually managing to hit champion with just this character exclusively. I think this character is so much bloody fun, and I know you think she's fun because you clicked this video as well. So I basically want to give you all of the ball knowledge that I know so you can directly apply this to your gameplay and hopefully hit champion in the same way I have. Basically, the structure of today is going to be there's a bit of Roblox gameplay, as you can see, but we're going to be talking about, we're going to be doing a specific in-depth review of a game from a random Juno later. So we're going to be pointing out their mistakes, what they can do better, because there'd be no point in reviewing my own gameplay because I'm obviously completely perfect, right? So we sort of want to pick apart a random and see what they can be doing better. But I wanted to give you some theory on exactly how to play Juno first, so we have the basic understandings, and then we can apply it specifically to an in-game situation. So first of all, I want to talk about angling and positioning on Juno, because she's quite unique in that regard. She can pretty much play anywhere on the map. She's one of the most flexible supports in the game. I reacted to like a Samito video where he said like, Juno's the most flexible support in the game. She can fit in any composition. No, that guy's a fucking idiot. Kiriko, it's obviously the most flexible support in the entire game. But she can pretty much fill any angle, which is of the utmost importance on support, because there's this phrase that I really like, which is called act like your other support is stupid. So what does this mean? This probably goes against everything you've heard, because most people in Overwatch who are specifically support players go, oh no, my other support is perfect. It's always the tank and DPS fault. No, your other support is probably a bit of a maniac because they don't actually help the DPS on off angles, and you need to be the one helping on off angles. And while Juno isn't exactly perfect at that, maybe a Kiriko, maybe a Brigitte, maybe a Lucio might be better at filling that gap. You can still do it. You can still get your hands dirty. And this has sort of changed more recently, where she's actually been permitted to become a bit more aggressive with the crits and the headshots. Well, crits and headshots are the same thing. I don't know why I said that twice. But with the headshots, right? And also her passive, which allows you to use the glide boost to activate her passive health regen, which is absolutely like amazing. I think it's one of the best support passives that there is, because it means that she can be so much more self-sufficient without relying on her other supports so much. So in professional play, when you see Juno traditionally played, it's either with a Brigitte, where the Brigitte controls the off angles with a tracer, because Brigitte obviously likes to operate in that short range capability, and she sort of thrives at that because she can control those lanes while also impacting Juno on different lanes, so she can toss health packs. But we're typically not going to be playing with a Brigitte, right? We're going to be playing with a Wu Yang. We're going to be playing with Iari. Those like people who play those heroes, they can be quite idiotic, because even like Lucio and Brig players, they won't necessarily take the short range off angle with the DPS. So Juno is sort of allowed to fill that gap whenever it's available, and you are going to be filling that gap a very good portion of the time. I'm sure that's something that we're going to be seeing in the VOD review, but it's basically to be a multiplier of your DPS's aggressiveness and sort of forget about your other support, to be honest. Screw them most of the time, right? This applies to pretty much every support, but especially something that I found on Juno. Now that we understand angling and positioning on Juno, which is something we're going to see in the gameplay review later, because I'm going to be specifically giving positioning improvements, but I sort of wanted to explain the function of speed boost, or speed ring, sorry, I'm an idiot, speed ring, and how we can use speed ring to its most effective capability. You need to learn the difference between a reactive and a predictive speed ring. So what do those terms mean? Reactive means that you're directly reacting and responding to something, a visual cue that has occurred on your screen. So for example, it could be kiting an ultimate, it could be escaping a dive, it could be really anything that warrants any aggro. And it can be used defensively or aggressively. So it's got a lot of nuance because it can be used in multiple different ways. And it's not like Kiriko Suzu where you pretty much just use it to save someone. It's kind of complicated sometimes because you need to think about it in both regards. But it's pretty much just an extension of convenience-based responsibility. What the phrase convenience-based responsibility actually means, it sounds quite complicated. I promise it's less complicated than it actually sounds. It's just plopping yourself on an off angle typically. It can be main as well, although you always need to be on an off angle. And the definition of an off angle is where the rest of your team are not. So main can technically be an angle. That's sort of a side point. And I've actually forgotten what I was going to say. So give me a moment to remember. So what does convenience-based responsibility actually mean in the specific context of Juno? So we don't really want to be rotating that often. And that might be a bit of an alien concept because with glide boost and speed ring, you would think that you're encouraged to move with the character, and while that's definitely true, you do need a good reason to move. And a lot of the time, you don't actually have a really good reason to rotate because you can just shoot whatever on your angle. So one of the biggest mistakes that I had to face was that I was specifically rotating to help people when I already had things in my general vicinity, and specifically using speed ring in quite a weird way where there was direct threats in front of me. So maybe I could have pocketed the Bastion on my team and used speed ring and healed him up, and we could have won that 1v2. But instead I decided, oh, the rest of my team's over there, I'm going to use speed ring because it makes more sense because there's more people there and they can benefit from the speed. But no, because if it takes a long time to specifically rotate to that place, then it doesn't make enough sense to actually do it. So with speed ring, what we just want to do is basically get the most value out of it in the specific situation that we are actually in. We also need to be directly tying it to action. So now that we have the off angle down, we're on an off angle, we're helping someone, healing them, we use speed ring. When do we actually use speed ring? Because technically you can use speed ring at any time if you're on off angle with someone, right? Well, no, because what is speed most useful for? Well, it's incredibly useful for rotating, or it's incredibly useful for avoiding damage when you're in combat, right? Because movement speed makes you infinitely more unpredictable, and it's one of the main reasons why Lucio has been like per meta since Overwatch 1 pretty much. It's just because the value of speed, even like I think people say that the value of Lucio just stems from coordinated play with speed ring, speed rushes, not speed ring, speed boost. Sorry, but I think like just like even a slight movement speed buff is absolutely massive because it makes you infinitely harder to hit, and it's so bloody useful in combat. So I think I want you to start tying it directly to when people are actually in danger, when they need it. Because I think people use speed ring way too late. So we definitely don't want to be predictive, where we sort of predict that danger is going to happen and someone needs to speed ring. We see that like our Bastion's getting pushed by a Tracer, and then we use speed ring straight away instead of waiting and going, oh, maybe there'll be a slightly better situation, slightly more optimal situation to use the speed ring. Just use it whenever someone's close to you. So proximity is the main factor that we actually need to be considering with it. So to summarize with speed ring, prop yourself on an off angle, use it to whoever's closest, and directly tie it to action. It sounds quite complicated, but it is something that is difficult because you're not going to get the angling right, and you're not going to get the like sort of awareness of when to use speedrun right. So it's something that we're going to cover in the VOD review later, so we actually know how to apply this this large load of information overload that I'm giving you. Okay, next up we are going to be talking about the free functions of glide boost and how you actually use this cooldown. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people using with glide boost is, well, first of all, actually I want to get into this first, is that people don't cancel it early enough. So it's sort of like Wu Yang's wave, where if you're not using it for one of these free functions, you might as well cancel it because you actually end up getting the cooldown earlier. So let me enlighten you on what the free functions of glide boost actually are. So the first one is to escape danger, and this is primarily from dive heroes. So I think I most commonly use glide boost to escape people when there's a Tracer, Genji, Winston, Doom, where I can double jump, glide into the air, and sort of escape danger. And this is one of the most crucial things that you need to know if you're going into a dive matchup specifically. And this is actually a lot less important when you go into a like poke matchup, for example, or a brawl matchup, where you're going to be using the other two functions of glide boost a lot more option. But when you're on those maps which are very dive centric, and or not even if it's like a not even if it's specifically like a dive map, if the enemy team is just on like a dive composition, or even like one dive hero which is giving you a bad time like Tracer, it's absolutely important to utilize your double/triple jump, more on triple jump later, abuse verticality to get as high as you possibly can and just escape, just get out there. And I mean, this is pretty much common sense, right? If you see someone directly close to you, then just use your glide boost to get away, because Juno doesn't really operate well in the short range off angles. If she's like supporting a teammate who's close nearby, then I think that's absolutely fine. But she needs a teammate to actually be able to support her. That's the main thing. And ideally, you're behind the teammate who you're actually supporting, because Juno is very squishy and she definitely prefers the mid-range a lot more. Going into the other functions of glide boost, I actually forgot I mentioned another function of the glide boost earlier, but it's basically to reset your health regen, because she now has the support passive where when she uses her glide boost she gets health regeneration. Just use that when you're behind corners, essentially. It's really, really bloody useful. I think it's one of the best passives in the game. But if you don't have a clear usage of glide boost and you sort of just want to reset your health and you're behind a corner, then absolutely use this, because it is like a really powerful self-heal. But I think important thing to note with this is that it only gives you the health if you don't take damage during it, because it's technically passive health regen. So it's not like traditional healing. So it's not like you just get healing on the glide boost. It's specifically health regeneration. So you need to be making sure that if you're going to use glide boost like this, which you are in like a fair few games, you just use it when you can't take any damage. But it's not necessarily something you need to think about too often, because most of the time you're going to be using it for the other functions. So escaping a dive and the next two that I'm about to explain to you. The next two functions of glide boost are quite simple, because they're not particularly nuanced, and it's just sort of like simplistic ideas that you can sort of apply to your gameplay, that you can always have in the back of your mind when you're thinking, oh wait, does this glide boost necessarily make sense, or was I wasting it for no particular reason? So the next one is going to be to move if you can't see anyone and you don't think you're going to get punished. So if you think that no one can kill you, if you're going to use glide boost, then it's absolutely okay, and you need to get closer to your teammates who are in direct combat, essentially. And this is important because Speedring has limited range. Juno has somewhat limited range with her torpedoes. She's definitely not a sniper character like Anna, Anna, pretty much. She's the only one in the support class. Well, I guess Zenyatta as well. He sort of operates in those mid to long ranges, but we do need to move closer to them, to the enemies and to our teammates sometimes, and we just got to be very, very careful with this and not use it in a dumb way. So a dumb way is basically glide boosting in the middle of the open when they're on double hit scan and they can punish us. So if we could actively see ourselves needing the cooldown in a few seconds, then it's always okay just to walk if you think you're in direct danger. But if you have no idea that if there's no one around you, essentially, and no one can punish you, and your teammates are far away, and you need to move closer towards them to get your hands a bit dirtier, then using glide boost is absolutely okay. So it's quite a long-winded explanation for basically saying move closer to your teammates, but don't waste it if you don't need to do it for that specific reason. The next and final one that I wanted to explain is using it to swing wide for torpedoes. So I think a lot of the time you can just double jump for torpedoes, which is absolutely okay, but sometimes you sort of want to widen your angle and deepen so you get better vision for torpedoes. And that's a really good thing, because although Juno doesn't really have a big burst in her kit, sometimes those big value torpedoes where she hits like 5, 6, 7 people, 6, 7, are really, really bloody important. And if you can do that, then there's always going to be some risk involved, but you sort of need to be able to calculate that. See that there's no hit scan directly in front of you. There's no pred scan with an Ash and a Mercy Pocket ready to take your head off. We sort of need to calculate that risk because you can get better vision for torpedoes if you swing wide with your glide boost. Alright, that's enough about glide boost because I think you're probably sick of that. And I just wanted to do a quick segment on Juno's perks and specifically the major perk selection. Okay, I still think there's a bit of confusion about which major perk is better, and I just wanted to clarify that triple jump is better in every single situation that you can possibly imagine. Stop trying to fall for the faster blaster propaganda. Oh, 25% of players in Grandmaster and Champion take faster blaster, so therefore it's actually viable. No, the people in low GM take faster blaster. I've not seen like a single person in Champ who takes faster blaster, and if they do that, then that means that they don't play Juno a lot because the capabilities that triple jump gives you is absolute insanity. The way Juno wins values isn't through a big burst of damage, so like I described with the functions of glide boost earlier, although headshots are sort of slimming the gap between that, you still want to take your time and be patient. I actually have a story about this where I was doing an unranked GM, it took me like a few hours because I'm that good. Very humble, I know, but I was thinking like an unranked GM, and there was this Rhine streamer in my game. It was like a 1v2 on point on the pool, and I just dominated him and like someone else because they couldn't reach me because of triple jump. And he asked me, "Oh, does Juno have a perk which allows her to fly infinitely?" Well, no, but it just makes your base kit it's not base kit because it's a major perk, but it makes your kit absolutely insane. You get better vision for torpedoes, better escaping dives. You get better everything that Juno's already better at. With faster blaster, you only get slightly better at something which Juno isn't very good at, which is a big burst of value, and it actually promotes using glide boost in the completely wrong way. So if you take faster blaster, I actually don't want to see you around, to be honest. Yeah, don't be taking that perk around me or I will be mad. And yeah, but don't take that perk. I see so many Juno guys which are like, oh yeah, faster blaster is actually okay in these specific circumstances. They don't even play Juno, right? And I'm someone who played that for 300 hours in one season. So I'm directly telling you, just listen to me, fuck everyone else. Yeah, I'm right, they're wrong. With the minor perks, I actually think that the faster torpedo lock-on is a bit underrated, surprisingly, because if your teammates are under a lot of pressure, then and you can't really peek the enemy team because you're getting your head blown off, for example if you're going against pred scan duos, then Familiar Vitals can be really, really good. And I think this is going to sound weird, but I think it becomes better the higher elo you get because there's a higher chance of you being punished for going for those massive torpedoes. So I think that from Locked On, which is the torpedo cooldown reduction, is generally the better perk in the vast majority of situations, and I'd take that. But in any situation where your team is under a shit ton of pressure and they just need that quick healing burst, I think Familiar Vitals isn't actually that bad. So yeah, I just wanted to explain the ultimate very quickly, and then I promise you I'm going to stop boring you and we can actually go into a specific VOD review of a Juno player and I can roast the shit out of them because that's what I like doing. I like being mean to support mains because support mains are a bit stupid, myself included. Or at least the past version of me, although I'm still a bit stupid and I'm definitely worse than tank and DPS mains. But that's besides the point. How we use the ultimate. If we compare Juno's ultimate to Lucio ultimate and Zenyatta ultimate, we'll notice that there's a lot less of a big burst of value. So it's not something that gives you immediate overhealth or it's going to save you from an ultimate combination like Zarya's and Hanzo's Grav Dragon, right? Because it doesn't give you a massive amount of healing or overhealth. It just gives you like a steady state of healing and damage boost. So it's not something that we can pop to really counter ultimates. So I think I like being a lot more proactive with Juno Ultimate, to be honest, just popping it as soon as I possibly can and seeing if we can get a kill out of it. Like, I don't think it's as insane as it used to be, and it's also quite complicated to use sometimes because of like the way it moves around. Like I kind of wish that Juno Ultimate operated in a different way sometimes, where
But you
just
just
use
use
Juno
Juno
Ultimate,
Ultimate
and that would make it a
intelligent
lot
way.
sort of.
When you
I
think
don't
about
know.
props,
Hopefully
hopefully
that
they can
so
add
using I always
certain
struggle
really
with
well.
I don't think they should add it
to
to
Perk, because
I don't know if there's much else I can say about it.
I'd love them
but
as a
let's
base
look
kit
at the
utilize that
view
damage boost
and not think
see
about
what
this
it
Juno
as
player
a
can
counter
do to
ultimate
sort of
improve.
and let's look at the
Specific
ultimate
situations
and
where they can
we just need to be
improve it.
way more proactive with it than we probably are at the moment. Yeah. I don't know what else I can add because I always struggle with Juno Ultimate, to be honest. Still, I don't know if there's much else I can say about it, but let's look at the VOD review and see what this Juno player can do to improve. And let's look at the ultimate and sort of see specific situations where they can improve it. Okay, let's watch this game from the perspective of Conan. So I promise I'm not going to be too mean because this is like a quick play game, and I don't know what rank this person is. Maybe they're not the best. I honestly don't care, but I just want to get some insightful value and sort of teach you how to play Juno optimally. But yeah, no hate to this person. Let's skip forward a bit. Let's see if they do the speed ring tech out of spawn. Okay, initially we're already wrong, so I'll show you this in the practice range, actually. Give me a moment. This is how we use speed ring optimally. So we get the outer edge of the speed, so we get it for the maximum period of time. You need to be doing it like this, so about 3 seconds in. When there's 3 seconds left on the clock in the countdown on control, you use speed ring on its side, like this. Oh wait, no, I messed it up actually. I'm an idiot. Wait, hold up. We do it like this. So we get the edge of the speed ring, and that's the last time we use the speed. So we get to point a bit quicker. And this actually adds up because getting to point first on control is really important. Especially if it's like Nepal village. But yeah, minor nitpick. Okay, let's think about this opening angle. So we see I go to the left with the Junkrat, which I think is the correct decision because Wu Yang with Wave is really valuable here. Should our Juno, I don't know why our Doom's all the way back there, but should our Juno commit this way? Well, based on what I've told you about angling, no. Because our Shion is getting absolutely no support over here. So in an ideal scenario, we need to be standing here. I don't think this is what this Juno ends up doing though. Let me find her. There we are. Because I think she rotates to the left with me. Yeah, and that means we're leaving our Shion to be absolutely unsupported. And we could have given her the confidence to play on point here, and we could have killed this guy. But instead, we're doing absolutely nothing over here. So this is exactly what I said. Like, screw me, right? I'm Vendetta main, by the way. Screw this guy. Wu Yang is so jacked, by the way. I mean, I'm straight, but like, fucking hell, this guy is like really handsome. Like, look at those eyebrows. Look at those eyes. Oh my god. Look at those shoulders. Jesus. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, we just need to rotate here to give our Shion the confidence to actually kill these guys because she rotates this way, and I don't think this is optimal because we've got all of our resources stacked down here. Now, to be fair, I don't know what Laggy. I thought that said something different, beginning with an F, and I was getting a bit concerned. I know what Laggy's doing all the way back here, but I think it's just the principle that we need to be thinking about, and we need to go this way as our opening sort of position. Do these torpedoes make sense, considering that we could have just shot me? No. This is a really bad usage of torpedoes, and generally we don't want to go for torpedoes unless it's like 3 people, and also if we know that the person is going to be in our LOS all of the time. So we barely hit our Shion because she was moving out of the way. So we really don't need to bother with the torpedoes. I mean, the positioning is off initially, but we also just need to shoot our gun, pretty much. I mean, you see it, right? This Junkrat got absolutely no support because, I mean, maybe it's partially my fault, but I think that Juno would have followed me wherever I go because I think she's going in the direction towards me. Yeah, I mean, she just doesn't have a mind of herself. She maybe could have stayed on this angle. While that's a bit risky, she could have pressured the Reinhardt and created a bit of a crossfire. But this Junkrat gets absolutely no support. And it's partially my fault, to be fair. Like, I'm a bit of an idiot for this. But I don't know if it's my fault because the Juno just followed me, right? I think I was getting a bit annoyed in game. Obviously, I'm not going to shout at the player. This is quick play, so obviously it's quite casual. This guy could have very well lived, and Junkrat is the most lethal character in the game up close. So he could have absolutely destroyed this guy, but we just weren't present whatsoever. We've had no impact whatsoever so far. Does the speed ring make sense? Let's look at who's close to us. Reinhardt's engaging. Doomfist is using block and he's engaging. Shion's engaging. This is a really good speed ring. I think this has been the best so far. Most low-ranked Juno players would have just held it and not used it whatsoever. But I think it's really good that we have the principle down just to use it whenever people are in direct combat, because this is insanely useful for helping us prevent taking damage from these guys. Because maybe speed rig is what saves us from getting pinned from this Reinhardt. So this is really, really good. As soon as I say that, okay, that is very unfortunate. That's the Doomfist's fault, not the Juno's fault, though. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Okay, we are the bravest Juno ever. I think I would have disengaged, and I maybe would have thought about rotating this way. I think I rotate this way, because I'm a fucking G, and I know my off angles, but this Juno can't be relying on her other DPS to take the off angles, because remember, Juno Pocket is one of the worst in the game, but she can get to so many positions that other supports can't. So she should have probably, instead of shooting a Reinhardt shield for a bit, she should have rotated over here. Now, hindsight 101, I do this, so it's okay, and it's not the end of the world, but something to think about, and we probably just need to disengage a bit quicker as well, instead of shooting the Reinhardt. Just chill, just chill. I think this is fine though, this is fine for now. I think as soon as I mean, my Shion is being a bit of an idiot, no offense, but I think we could have been way snappier. Because you've established that you're on this lane, right? I think I was confused because you decided to migrate over here and I'm over here. But instead we just stay here and we don't actively deepen with our Shion. Our Shion's taking space, and remember, one of the key functions of Juno is to be a multiplier of our DPS's aggression. So what we could have done is deepened here and sort of played around here, given her the speed ring, and she would have taken way less damage, and we could have had a chance of killing Ghost Mercy. I really like the skin, by the way. It's really, really cool. I think it's the it's like an anime one. Kiri gets all the good skins. It's not fair. I'm not a fan of this. This looks a bit weird, honestly. But it's a great skin overall. I kind of wish I had it, but I stopped paying for Overwatch skins, not gonna lie. Because they get too expensive. Also, I'm a support player who makes Juno, so it's just too much to keep up with, you know? But, yeah, I think our Shion's actually dead because of us not rotating. Even if she dies, we could have made this infinitely more expensive. And instead we're over here, jacking ourselves off, doing absolutely nothing. This is nothingness. But who are we helping? Are we even helping Junkrat? Yeah, help. This is a really good example of torpedoes that are really good, because I don't think I'm necessarily right about the free torpedo rule. I think as long as you've got like two people, you can guaranteed hit, then it's pretty much value, because that's going to override the value you get from your gun. If you can hit both of them at the same time, then that's really good, because I think it chips his health quite significantly, and it makes this duel really winnable. Yeah, I mean, that's massive, right? That was a really good torpedo. So notice with the torpedoes, we just need to actually hit people in front of us instead of using it like we did earlier, which was in a compressed piece of space. And being in compressed space makes it infinitely more difficult to get value out of the torpedoes. So if it's a lot more open and the enemies and our teammates can both get hit because it's a lot easier, then I think this is a really good example of how to use them. So think about using torpedoes in more open space in contrast to compressed space. Nice shots. I want to see what this Juno does in this duel though. Speed ring. I would have used the speed ring selfishly. Maybe you could have even thought about popping the speed ring over here because this Cassidy is on us. He's chasing us, and we just need to get to corner as soon as possible. Using the Goliath boost was definitely a really good situation. I love Juno, by the way. She's so cute. I love this skin. It's adorable. But we should have used Speed Ring to rotate towards this way infinitely quicker, because we very well could have died to Cassidy. I think I might be dead to this Cassidy. Let's see what I do actually. Oh, I just miss every shot apparently. Okay, I suck. I'm very washed at Overwatch these days. Nice, good job by the Juno though. She should have just been there earlier, and maybe she could have caught him by surprise and went here, and we could have established a bit of a crossfire. Because I get dangerously close to death, right? And she could have helped prevent that. And it's not through healing that she could have prevented it. It's just through living better and playing her angle a bit better. So notice I'm not equating our teammates living necessarily with the quantity of healing that they're doing. This is more about thinking about that position and being more snappy to get there. Oh god, don't get run over. What do we do from this situation? We have a few options. We can think about rotating over here, or we can think about staying over here. I think both options are actually equally fine. Considering I'm over here, I actually think it would have been better to go over here, because we want a buddy to play with, right? If we can help a DPS on an off angle, then that makes the position even better. I don't think this position is necessarily bad, because we don't have an amazing crossfire for both healing and damage. We've only got damage, and we've actually compressed our sightlines so we can't see as many people. Although you probably couldn't see that many people here. So there's more damage here, more healing, and like helping DPS potential here. Although I don't think this is necessarily that bad. So maybe I'm overreacting a bit. And if we do a bit of chip damage to the Genji, I think this is completely okay. So I think this is an okay angle decision from them, but I just want you to know that there's an option as well. And if you have the option to help your DPS as well output damage, then that's pretty much always the better option. It's just in this specific circumstance, you either get like no damage and a lot of like support, or a lot of damage but no support. So just pick your poison, but this is okay. This is okay. High risk, high reward. Shoot. Yeah. We saw the Genji dash out. Let's replay this a bit. Let's look at these torpedoes again. Yeah, we really don't want to be torpedoing this guy, because it does basically no damage to the shield. It does, what, 85 damage to barriers? Maybe it's even less, because maybe there's a reduction. I don't know. But this does absolutely nothing to this guy, even if he doesn't have shield up, considering he has armor. Right, if you see a full HP tank, just save it. We really don't need to be using this. Just shoot our gun, right? Because we saw the Genji dash out. So we're not really getting any value from these torpedoes. We're not healing anyone. We're not even damaging anyone. We just do a tiny bit of chip damage. And we could have actually, ironically, done more chip damage if we just shot our gun. Yeah, keep shooting though. I think this is an interesting situation, because you can look at this and go, oh, you're helping pressure the rank. But as soon as I see my Winston take this space over here, I'm immediately deepening over here to give this guy as much support as I physically can. I think this is okay though, and we would have, it's not bad, because we can shoot this guy on the way out. But if we were over here, then we could have given our Winston even more confidence to shoot this guy on the way out, and we would have had a good angle to shoot him as well. So both decisions are actually okay. I probably would have gone for the deepening decision, considering no one's really contesting this space, and we could have helped kill the Life Weaver sooner, but something to think about. We also had Speed Ring, and I think Speed Ring on Winston is really broken, so something to think about. I would definitely be using Speed Ring though if I see this. Yeah, we're not using Speed Ring quick enough, and I think it's okay to use selfishly if we end up in a bad position like this. I think it's a bit unfortunate, because I think we were expecting to kill the Rhine, although if we were here, then we wouldn't have had to worry about that. But we just need to use it to get to a corner way quicker instead of just holding on, because our Shion would have actually benefited from the Speed Ring as well. So even though it might be considered selfish, it's actually quite selfless, because this guy gets a lot of help as well. Speed Ring, Speed Ring, Speed Ring, Speed Ring. Oh god, you're giving me anxiety. Use that Speed Ring, man. You gotta use it, you gotta use it. I mean, it's just tragic because we just draw our attention off the guy who was actually taking space. So what? I don't know. Maybe it's Ishion's fault. Let's look at this again. Let's look at it again. We are distracted dealing with the Genji, but as soon as we kill the Genji, look up where our Shion is. She's in the middle of no man's land. She's going in aggressive with her bike. We just need to see this and go, I don't really care about my Winston taking chip damage. This is okay. I'm gonna go and help this guy. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be the one who saves this fight. Because if you help this guy, then I think you single-handedly carried this fight, right? But you don't. Because you just heal a bit of chip damage behind a wall. So a general rule of thumb in Overwatch on support is just to help the guy who's in direct danger over the guy who's like close to a wall, has a larger HP pool. Yeah, just help our shield because she's going in aggressive. Yeah, we could have even like thought about the speed ring there, but yeah. I mean, we finally used the speed ring 10 centuries later. I mean, we used speed ring okay when we were like back here, or was it here? And we wanted to help our Doomfist escape the Reinhardt, but now we're just not really using it, and that's like a really common theme that I see with like relatively low ranked Junos. They just fail to use it, and they don't really have any urgency, and it's not consistent because sometimes they'll use it, but sometimes they just completely forget about it. We just need to use it way earlier, man, way earlier, because we could have helped our Shion. Heal our Junkrat. Where did our Winston go here? I honestly think I would have maybe gone for this angle again. I think this is more a mistake of our Winston though. I don't think this is the end of the world. But yeah, I think I would have just deepened here a bit instead of necessarily camping your point. Although you can look at this and go, I just wanted to camp the point and my idiot Wu Yang is over here, my idiot Junkrat is over here, my Shion's in spawn, I need to be the one camping point, and our Winston overextended a bit. It's not the end of the world, but think about our positions again. Just always think about like a second opportunity for an angle that we could have taken, and experiment with that in your games, you know? Oh my god. This is something that is incredibly silly. I remember seeing this, and I was like, oh, we can Yang ult my Juno because she's going in like hyper aggressive. Juno is way too fragile to go for these plays, and even if you were a Doomfist and you had like a massive health pool, you still need to be infinitely more careful with your engages. You need to be hugging a corner. I mean, on Juno, you really want to be like here or like here if you really want to get free key. We just need to be disciplined with our cover because we're standing in the middle of the open doing God knows what. I think we're just going for a play because we're trying to save the point, but I think this can be done way more cautiously. And that forces me to use my ultimate. I don't think we really get that much out of it. This is so ridiculous. How are we alive? What kind of lobbies am I in? This is quick play, to be fair. No. Don't think about damaging this guy, because this guy's full HP. What we need to worry about is healing this guy. Like, I'm not someone who really worries about healing damage balance all that much. We just need to think about our angle. And this guy's in immediate danger. This guy, you can't really secure the kill on, so why not heal this guy? It's a general rule of thumb in Overwatch, is to either shoot the guy who's low HP or heal the guy who's low HP, and shoot the one who's lower HP, essentially. So we need to help our Shion here. And I don't really have the range to help our Shion. So it's really on our Juno to do this. We are double stacked with our other support, but the chaos of this fight has made that happen. So I don't think it's a big deal. We really don't need to be thinking about crossfires. It's just helping our Shion actually live. And I don't think we actually do. I mean, that's just way too close, man. Good. I think this angle is okay because I've taken the initiative to play here. It's just we don't need to be here. We can be here. We're just not hugging a corner very effectively, and we're just standing in the middle of the open. And I don't think this Cassidy is very good. He's not exactly hitting his shots. What is his stat line this game? Yeah, he's got 1800. Well, that's actually okay, considering. But This Cassie hasn't been much of a threat, so it's not the biggest deal, but we just need to be way more disciplined with our cover. Standing here, because there's actually no disadvantage to standing here compared to standing here, which is putting ourselves at unnecessary risk. So this is high risk, medium reward. This is low risk, medium reward. Why would we not take the same reward, but for lower risk, right? We don't need to be worrying about healing on a Junkrat because our Winston's in active danger. Just screw that guy. What was the intention of the speed ring? Maybe it was to help our Junkrat because I don't know. I think it's okay. It's just we probably should have used it a bit earlier. And if anything, we could have probably been like a bit more forward over here. Or like, if we're gonna move forward and stand here, they just use it earlier because that's the only real reason to actually move forward a bit here is to actually get in the range to use your speed ring. But they probably could have used it here. So just be a bit earlier with it. I'd probably think about starting to rotate, maybe over here, to actually help our Xion on this off angle because I've claimed this position. This position is really good for Wu Yang. We need to be like helping as many people as possible. Because I am being very selfish in this position. All I can pretty much help is our Junkrat. But I don't think this is necessarily bad because this position is insanely strong. So our Juno needs to take the initiative to help everyone else. Maybe go here or maybe go here. Somewhere with a corner that's a bit more disciplined with cover instead of just standing here. Heal, heal, heal. Good, good, good. Speed ring, speed ring, speed ring, speed ring, speed ring, speed ring, speed ring. Why are we not using our speed ring and we use torpedoes instead? This is so silly. If we see a Reinhardt charging at a Junkrat, this guy very well could have died if the Reinhardt was a bit smarter. No offense to this guy. And we could have even thought about popping our ultimate. Like, I think maybe we could rotate over here and pop our ult here, kill these guys. Because we haven't really contributed anything to this fight so far. And these torpedoes are really bad because it's just going to hit a full HP Junkrat and a full HP Wu Yang. Let's go. We can use our ultimate by ourselves here. This is okay, although the proximity isn't great. Although these guys do have a bit of range with their guns, so it's not the end of the world. Let's see what happens with this. Although I would definitely think about speed ringing into our ultimate. We just need to react to what's happening on our screen. And we could probably reach the Winston with the speed ring, and he would have absolutely loved that. And it would also enable us to have our... What is going on with our shield, by the way? What the heck is with his hair? That is interesting. It would have enabled our Xion to actually move forward and be a multiplier of aggression. It would have enabled our Winston to pop Primal and kill these guys, right? We're just lazy with it. Okay, maybe that was a bit harsh. You actually did it eventually, so it's fine. The minor critique, I would have moved forward a bit. Move forward a bit before popping the ultimate, so it actually impacts these guys over here. Because we notice we're all the way back here. If we had our ultimate, let's get creative. If we had our ultimate and popped it through the wall here, it gets here. This is absolutely massive for our Winston. What are we able to really do from this position, you know? I think I would have held on to the torpedoes for like a second longer because we could have hit like a few more people. I would even think about deepening from this angle, although it is a bit risky with the Genji. Alternatively, we could have gone up here, although the Wu Yang Go, aka me, is already taking that position because he's insanely intelligent. I'm a dickhead. But, yeah. This is an interesting one because they have Blade and it's a massive ult dump situation. But I think we could have got a bit more value with the torpedoes. Run, 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 run. Don't shoot the Genji, just glide boost, glide boost, glide boost. Don't even think about shooting him, just run, 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 run. Escape the dive. Should we be focusing on our damage when the most powerful DPS ult in the game is trying to kill us? Well, no. because the most insane DPS ult in the game. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily the most insane DPS ult in the game, but it's safe to say that Genji Blade has a lot higher DPS, especially in close quarters, compared to Juno's gun, even after crits. So we just need to focus way more on our movement, making it way more unpredictable, because we're not going to win the damage through raw damage in. We're not going to win the duel through raw damage in this specific situation. We don't need to think about our aim whatsoever. So throw mechanics out the window and just get out and focus on living and your movement capabilities, because that's actually what is going to enable you to win this fight. You're not going to kill the guy, but you can definitely escape him and wait till he uses all of his cooldowns to commit, and then you can kill him. I think we actually end up losing this round though. I think I am going to stop it there though, because I'll be yapping for a really long period of time. But I think the main things of this Juno is committing more clearly to an angle that has both vision of teammates and the enemies, using our cooldowns to actually escape dives, because this is very relevant in a matchup against Genji. And we can't be trying to focus on hitting our shots when this guy's right in front of us. We just need to get out as soon as possible. It's not a bad showcase of Juno gameplay though. It's just we need to be way more creative with our angles. We also need to focus on actually taking our time with the torpedoes a bit more, because I think they're a bit rushed on a lot of occasions. The ultimate was fine, although I think we could have got way more creative and actually used it over here instead of using it over here. So proximity is the key thing, and if there's a Winston or a Brawl character who can get their hands dirty, who can move forward the ultimate, I'd take that any day of the week compared to just us and a Junkrat who's quite far away, and we didn't actually get a lot of value out of the ultimate because we weren't really close enough and we weren't being creative enough with our angles. So that's pretty much all I've got for today. Quick plug, I've got a free coaching call if you want to book in one for 30 minutes, and I'll happily review your game for free. That's pretty much it though. I hope you learned a lot. This video is insanely long, so I apologize for the long run time. But yeah, have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon.